I didn't call her because I was suspicious. I called her because the house was too quiet. It was past 9. The kind of quiet that makes every sound feel louder than it should. The refrigerator hummed. The wall clock ticked like it was counting something important. I sat on the edge of the couch, my phone warm in my hand, staring at her name on the screen. My wife. She had said she'd be home late. Work dinner. Nothing unusual. I believed her the way you believe gravity exists. Not because you're thinking about it, but because it's always been there. I tapped call without hesitation. It rang once. Twice. Then someone answered. Hello, a man said. At first my brain rejected it. Like hearing the wrong voice in a dream. I waited for him to say something like wrong number or sorry or to hand the phone to her. Instead, he laughed. Not a nervous laugh. Not an awkward one. A relaxed, amused laugh, the kind people make when they're comfortable. Wow, he said. Speak of the devil. I felt my stomach tighten, slow and heavy, like something sinking underwater. Who is this? I asked. Another laugh. Louder this time. Then his voice dropped, playful, cruel without trying to be. We were just talking about you, he said. Don't bother us. The line didn't go dead. I didn't hang up. I couldn't. There are moments when your body reacts before your mind understands. My fingers locked around the phone. My chest felt tight, like someone had wrapped tape around my ribs and pulled hard. I wanted to speak. To shout her name. To demand explanations. But something else took over. Silence. I don't know why I stayed. Maybe it was shock. Maybe it was fear. Maybe a part of me already knew that if I spoke, whatever came next would be filtered, controlled, turned into a lie. If I stayed quiet, I would hear the truth. The man lowered his voice, moving the phone away from his mouth. I could hear muffled sounds now. Music somewhere in the background. A clink of glass. Laughter, hers. Her laugh. I had memorized that sound over years. I could tell the difference between her polite laugh, her tired laugh, the one she used with my family. This one was light. Loose. Unburdened. She's still calling, she said. My heart stuttered. Yeah, the man replied. I told him not to bother us. She laughed again. God, you're terrible. But there was no anger in her voice. Only amusement. Something inside me cracked quietly. Not the dramatic kind you see in movies. More like a hairline fracture in bone, invisible at first, but irreversible. I held my breath. I could hear fabric moving, like someone shifting on a couch or bed. The music got louder for a second, then softer again. You sure he's not still on? She asked. The man scoffed. If he is, that's his problem. I pressed the phone closer to my ear. My name came up again. Casually. Carelessly. Like I wasn't a person, just a topic. He's been distant lately, she said. Always tired. Always stressed. I feel like I live with a ghost. I wanted to scream that I was tired because I worked extra hours for our life. That I was stressed because I carried everything silently. That ghosts don't come home every night. But I said nothing. He doesn't even notice anymore, she continued. When was the last time he really looked at me? The man made a sound of agreement, low and satisfied. I notice, he said. There was a pause. Then she whispered something I wasn't supposed to hear. I know. That was the moment my knees went weak. I slid off the couch and sat on the floor, my back against the coffee table. The phone trembled in my hand now, my palm slick with sweat. Every memory I had of us began replaying itself, but differently. Conversations I thought were normal suddenly felt hollow. Late nights. New passwords. The way she'd tilt her phone away sometimes, just slightly. I had explained it all away because trust is easier than truth. The man spoke again. Does he suspect anything? She hesitated. Just long enough. No, she said. He trusts me. The word trust landed like a punch to the throat. I should probably hang up, she added, half-hearted. Just in case. Relax, he said. Let him hear how happy you sound. She laughed. And then she said my name. Not sharply. Not angrily. Softly. Affectionately. The way she used to say it when we were alone and the world felt safe. That sound broke something in me completely. Because it meant she wasn't confused. She wasn't trapped. She was choosing. I don't remember how long I stayed on the call after that. Minutes blurred together. Pieces of conversation floated in and out, plans, jokes, references to moments I wasn't part of. Eventually, the line went dead. Not because I hung up. Because she did. I stared at my phone long after the screen went dark. The house was still quiet. But it didn't feel empty anymore. It felt crowded with truths I couldn't unhear. I didn't cry that night. I didn't shout. I didn't punch walls or throw things. I sat there until my legs went numb and thought about how strange it was that the worst pain doesn't announce itself. It just arrives. Silently. She came home just after midnight. I heard the key before the door opened. The familiar scrape against the lock. The pause. Then the door swinging inward like nothing in the world had changed. I didn't move from the couch. She stepped inside, slipped off her shoes, set her purse down carefully. Too carefully. Like someone trying not to make noise. Hey, she said. Her voice was normal. Warm. Practiced. I looked at her then. Really looked. Her hair was slightly messy, not the tired mess of a long workday, but something looser. Her lipstick was gone, but the outline of it lingered faintly, like a memory that hadn't fully erased itself. How was dinner? I asked. She froze for half a second. Fine, she said. Long. She walked into the kitchen, turned on a light, opened the fridge. Normal movements. Normal sounds. A performance she'd probably done 100 times before. I watched her the way you watch a stranger who happens to know your name. You didn't answer your phone, I said quietly. She didn't turn around. Sorry. It was loud. There it was. The lie. Small. Effortless. I nodded, even though she couldn't see me. I wanted to ask her about the man. About his laugh. About the way he said my name like I was a joke. I wanted to ask her how long. Where. Why. Instead, I said, I called. She closed the fridge slowly. Oh, she said, still facing away. I must have missed it. I stood up then. My legs felt heavy, like they belonged to someone else. A man answered, I said. That got her attention. She turned around too fast. Her eyes widened, just slightly. Not shock, calculation. What, she said. That's impossible. Heard that word before. Impossible. People use it when they don't want to think harder. He laughed, I continued. He said you were talking about me. Her mouth opened. Closed. That's not, she stopped herself. Took a breath. You must have dialed wrong. I shook my head. It was your number. Silence stretched between us. Thick. Heavy. I watched her. Mind work. I could almost see the options forming, discarding, reshaping. Finally, she sighed. Sat down at the kitchen table. Rubbed her temples like she was exhausted. You're imagining things, she said softly. You've been stressed lately. That hurt more than the call. Because now it wasn't just betrayal. It was erasure. I stayed on the line, I said. Her hand dropped from her forehead. I heard you. Her eyes met mine then. Fully. No softness left. How much? She asked. Enough. She leaned back in her chair. The truth finally slipping through her posture. No more pretending. No more acting. It wasn't supposed to happen like this, she said. I almost laughed. Almost. When was it supposed to happen? I asked. She didn't answer. I walked to the window and stared out into the dark street. A car passed. Someone else's life moving forward. I heard you say I trust you, I said. She flinched. That was cruel, she whispered. Was it untrue? She stood up slowly and came closer. Reached out, then stopped, her hand hanging in the air between us. I didn't mean to hurt you, she said. I felt invisible. I turned to face her. So you made me disappear? Tears welled in her eyes. Real ones this time. Or convincing enough. I was lonely, she said. You weren't there. I nodded. I was here. Every night. She shook her head. Not like before. There it was. The justification. The story people tell themselves so they can sleep at night. I thought about all the times I had come home tired but still asked about her day. All the times I listened when I wanted to rest. All the small kindnesses that never make it into these explanations. Do you love him? I asked. She hesitated. That hesitation was my answer. I don't know, she said. It's different. I smiled then. A sad, tired smile. Different always sounds better when it's new, I said. She started crying in earnest now. Saying my name. Apologizing. Saying she was confused. Saying it was a mistake. But mistakes end when you realize they're wrong. This had continued. I walked past her, toward the bedroom. Where are you going? She asked, panic rising. To sleep, I said. I have work tomorrow. You're not going to talk about this, she cried. I paused in the doorway. We just did, I said. You talked. I listened. I lay in bed that night staring at the ceiling, listening to her cry softly on the couch. And for the first time since I married her, I felt something I didn't recognize. Not anger. Not hatred. Distance. I woke up before the alarm. The house was quiet again, but it wasn't the same quiet as before. This one had weight. Like something final had settled during the night. I lay there for a long time, staring at the ceiling, listening for her breathing. It wasn't there. She hadn't come to bed. I didn't feel relieved. I didn't feel angry either. I felt clear. In the bathroom, my face looked older somehow. Not dramatically. Just stripped. Like something unnecessary had been removed. I brushed my teeth slowly, mechanically, watching myself in the mirror and realizing I wasn't rehearsing arguments in my head anymore. That was new. When I walked into the living room, she was still on the couch, wrapped in a blanket, eyes red and swollen. She looked up when she heard me, hopeful in a way that made my chest tighten. Morning, she said softly. Morning, I replied. I made coffee. The smell filled the kitchen, familiar and grounding. For years, mornings had been our safest place. No fights. No big conversations. Just routine. She watched me like she was afraid I might vanish if she blinked. I didn't sleep, she said. I did, I answered. It wasn't entirely true, but it felt true enough. She waited for me to say more. I didn't. Finally, she spoke. I ended it. I turned toward her. Ended what? You know what, she said quickly. I texted him last night. Told him it was over. I nodded slowly. Okay. That's it? She asked, her voice cracking. That's all you're going to say? I took a sip of coffee. It tasted the same as always. What do you want me to say? I asked. Thank you for stopping after you got caught? She flinched. I chose you, she said. I'm here. I looked at her then, really looked. She was sincere. I could tell. She wanted this to be fixable. She wanted the story where remorse rewinds time. But sincerity doesn't erase memory. I didn't lose you to him, I said quietly. I lost you before that. She shook her head, tears spilling again. We can fix this. We can go to counseling. I'll do anything. Anything now. That's what people say when the cost finally reaches them. I sat across from her. Put my cup down carefully. Do you know what hurt the most? I asked. She wiped her face, desperate. Tell me. Not the cheating, I said. Not even the call. She looked confused. It was hearing you happy, I continued. Hearing you laugh the way you used to laugh with me. Knowing that version of you still existed, just not with me. She opened her mouth, then closed it. I don't hate you, I said. And that scares me more than if I did. What are you saying? She whispered. I took a breath. A deep one. I'm saying I don't want to live in a marriage where I have to wonder who you are when I'm not there, I said. I don't want to be the person someone settles back into after they've been seen by someone else. She stood up abruptly. So that's it? You're just walking away? No, I said calmly. I'm standing still. You already walked away. I just finally stopped pretending you hadn't. She cried harder then. Said my name again. Said we had history. Years. Memories. I know, I said. That's why this hurts. But history isn't a promise. It's just proof we were once something. I went to the bedroom and pulled out a suitcase. Not dramatically. No slamming drawers. Just quiet, deliberate movements. You're leaving? She asked from the doorway. For now, I said. I need space. How long? She asked. I met her eyes. Long enough to remember who I am without lying to myself. She sank onto the bed, defeated. As I zipped the suitcase, my phone buzzed. A missed call. Her phone, face down on the dresser, buzzed too. She noticed. I noticed her notice. Neither of us said anything. That silence said enough. At the door, I paused. Not because I was unsure. Because endings deserve acknowledgement. I hope you find what you're looking for, I said. I just won't be there when you do. She didn't answer. I stepped outside. The air was cool. Honest. It filled my lungs in a way the house hadn't for a long time. As I walked to my car, my phone rang. Her name. I watched it ring. Then, for the first time, I let it stop. And in that quiet, I understood something clearly, finally. Sometimes dignity isn't loud.